Children, hope you all are healthy and happy and taking very good care of yourself. Welcome to fourth session, Social Studies Paper 2, Chapter 19, Human Rights and Fundamental Rights. Today we are going to learn right to constitutional remedies, scope of fundamental rights, and Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Here we are having a list of fundamental rights. We have already learned right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and today we are going to learn right to constitutional remedies. Right to constitutional remedies. As mentioned earlier in the list of fundamental rights, these rights are so important that abolition of these rights by the state gives the people the fundamental right to approach the high courts and Supreme Court. When such rights are violated, they can be restored by the courts by giving specific directions or orders. It is the responsibility of the government to protect the people against any violation of their fundamental rights. A case can be filed against the government if it fails to do so. As fundamental rights is assured in Indian constitution, and it is the responsibility of judiciary, as judiciary is considered as the watchdog of a constitution, and the high court and Supreme Court is having an authority to keep on watching that if a state or any person get denied by their fundamental rights, they can approach to the courts to claim their fundamental rights. So the state government or any person cannot be hold a person to enjoy their fundamental rights. If the government or an individual is doing so, a case can be filed against it, and it is the responsibility of a government to protect the fundamental rights of each and every citizen. Yeah, right to constitutional remedies, it ensured that the High Court and Supreme Court, because judiciary is considered as watchdog of a constitution, they have to assure that the organization or the government should run on the direction as per direction written or mentioned in a constitution. Public interest litigation or PIL. Children, this is a very important concept. To make these rights, fundamental rights, meaningful to everybody, the courts under the exercise of judicial review have encouraged the people to file public interest litigation or PIL. Abbreviation for public interest litigation is PIL. That is, if the rights of a group of people are being denied, each affected person does not have to file a separate case. Any person or organization can file a case against the government on behalf of this group of people. This kind of case is called a public interest litigation. Suppose if anyone is getting denied the fundamental rights by the government or a people, so the affected people does not need to go individually and file a case. Instead of that, a case which can be filed on behalf of that particular group, that against the government or any person, this called as the public interest litigation. Here we are having different areas of judicial activism, especially these areas which get affect the many people, a group of people get affected on this criteria. So easily they can file a case, no need to go individually and file a case regarding their fundamental rights. Yeah, especially we are having the areas prison conditions, child labor, environment issues, forests, and rights of the minorities, women and children, disabled persons, and illiterate and poor sections of society. These are the basic subjects or criteria on behalf of this group, because most of the people get affected in this area. So they can, instead of filing separately, they can file a case in a group. Here you're having example to understand the public interest litigation. Suppose the government decides to construct a dam on a river, and there are around 50,000 people whose fields would be flooded if the dam was built. They would lose their land and livelihood. Their way of life would be seriously affected. This is a violation of their fundamental rights to freedom of life, freedom to settle in any part of the country, and freedom to pursue any occupation of their liking. In such a situation, a case can be filed in the Supreme Court to protect the fundamental rights of these people. One case can be filed on behalf of all 50,000 people. Hope all of you understood with this example, children. If a state government or any government decided to construct a dam and it's going to affect a large number of people, as first of all it's denying the fundamental rights such as freedom of life, freedom to settle in any part of the country, and freedom to pursue any occupation of their liking. So as basically these fundamental rights are getting violated by the government. So in such a case, 50,000 people is getting affected. So no need to file a separate petition. Altogether, one case can be filed on behalf of all 50,000 people. This is called as public interest litigation. Now, scope of fundamental rights. The fundamental rights provided in Constitution have been amended. Amended means adding or deleting something to the article or making some changes in the articles. So amending means adding something according to a requirement, okay, to the law from time to time. So amendment takes place from time to time according to the requirement of that particular period. Moreover, many new rights have been included into it, like right to education. Rights may be modified through Parliament. Initiative to for amending any law or any article is the responsibility of a Parliament. They have to take the initiative. It's having a procedure. The Supreme Court could also make judgments that would expand the meaning of a particular right. For instance, right to food has thus been expanded into the context of right to life. So some additional basic fundamental rights is not going to be changed, but under that certain under certain criteria, they are going to add some more rights to that particular area. Here, for example, even judiciary is also responsible to add it. So, for example, right to food, right to have a healthy and nutritious food, now it's become a part of right to life. Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This is a logo of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Other institutions and rights. Other institutions such as UNO. After the World Wars, United Nations was established with an objective to ensure that there are no more major wars across the globe. United Nations assigned this task to a group of people from 9 different countries around the world who drafted a list of 30 articles. So after the end of the Second World War, as it get affected a lot and it have an immense loss of human life, and there was a lot of violation of fundamental rights and human rights. So United Nations has been assigned a group of 9 different countries where they have listed 30 articles, and when they have included this all 30 articles included definitely the fundamental rights and the human rights, which has to be get adopted all over the world. And this became the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was passed by the UN General Assembly in 1948. UDHR. This has been passed in the UN General Assembly in the year 1948. The member nations of the UN are all signatories to this and thus under an obligation to uphold these rights. Violation of these rights will be considered unacceptable by the international community, and in many cases invite sanctions by other countries. So according to this, in this 30 articles, every country has to follow or has to provide the fundamental rights, or they should have a human rights which supports for the human beings, which flourished, which provide them the prosperity and the development. So if any country is violating these basic fundamental rights or human rights, it is not acceptable, and any person if feel that they are getting denied their sanctions, or the impositions will be sanctions on that particular country, or they are just taking an action against that particular country. Here, 1948, UDHR has been formed, until 2018, whatever the modifications were there, you can enlist it here. Let us have a quick recap, children. Today we have learned right to constitutional remedies, PIL, public interest litigation, and UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In a home assignment, children, you have to prepare a colorful poster on child rights. Please, when you are making a poster, it should be colorful and insert some slogans also. Thank you.